You guys remember Jeffrey Epstein, right? Well, today, the Inspector General of the Department of Justice issued a scathing report about the circumstances surrounding his death. It found all kinds of screw-ups and misconduct by the Federal Bureau of Prison System's New York jail that was housing him and the corrections officers who were supposed to be monitoring him. Now, I am issuing a warning for this entire video. There is sensitive information and language I'm going to be using that may be triggering. So if you don't want to subject yourself to that, I absolutely understand. But the Department of Justice Inspector General thinks there's a real problem here, so this is a story I have to cover. Plus, if you want to read the report for yourself, make sure you subscribe to my Newsgirl News Roundup email, and I'll email it out to you tonight. Now, let's talk about the actual report. It's 128 pages long, and I read the whole thing. This video is also a little long, so if you don't have time to watch it right now, favorite it and come back to it later when you have some time. I'm going to start with the report's conclusion. The Inspector General says despite the screw-ups and the misconduct from the jail and the officers involved, he concurred with the FBI that none of their actions were criminal. There's also several points in the report where the Inspector General debunks a rumor that's been floating around that Epstein didn't commit suicide. He was actually murdered in his cell. The report categorically denies that. Blood toxicology tests did not reveal any medications or illegal substances in Epstein's system, and the medical examiner who performed his autopsy told the IG that there were no defensive wounds on Epstein's body that would have been consistent with a homicide. The medical examiner said Epstein's injuries were all consistent with suicide by hanging, which is how he was discovered in his cell. But the fact that he was able to take his own life is what the Inspector General said was the result of a series of negligence, misconduct, and outright job performance failures. The IG says Epstein's death is also not an isolated incident. The Department of Justice has repeatedly identified problems within the Federal Bureau of Prison Systems that prevent it from operating a safe and secure environment for inmates. We're talking about staffing shortages, lack of proper care for inmates who could be a suicide risk, non-functioning security cameras, management failures, and widespread disregard for policies and procedures. All of these things, according to the Inspector General, played a role in what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. The report says when Epstein was first incarcerated back in early July of 2019, he was placed in the Special Housing Unit, or SHU, of the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York because of his notoriety. SHU inmates are securely separated from the general population and kept in their cells for 23 hours a day. SHU inmates are supposed to be monitored by prison staff at least twice an hour. Plus, a lieutenant must conduct a round in the SHU during each shift. Initially, Epstein was given a SHU cellmate and passed a psychological assessment. However, by July 23rd, he was found in his cell with an orange cloth around his neck. At that point, the staff put him on suicide watch. But then, by July 30th, he was taken off. Then on August 9th, the day he died, Epstein's cellmate was transferred to another facility. Epstein made an unmonitored phone call, met with his lawyers, and by 8 p.m. was safely put back in his cell, alive, but alone. By 6:30 a.m. the next morning, he was dead. According to the IG, after Epstein was found, a search of his cell was conducted. Prison guards found he had collected excess prison blankets, linens, and clothing. Then it was determined guards were not monitoring the SHU inmates like they were required to. Only one SHU cell search was conducted on August 9th, and that search was of another SHU inmate, not Epstein. In fact, the IG found prison guard count slips and round sheets had been falsified to show that checks had been done of the SHU inmates, when in reality, none were conducted after 4 p.m. on August 9th. On top of that, video surveillance of the SHU area for both August 9th and August 10th was only available from one camera due to a malfunction of the jail's camera system that started on July 29th, and no one bothered to fix it. But that one operational camera did show the pathway that would have led to Epstein's cell, so the Inspector General says anyone who entered or attempted to enter would have been seen. The report found between 10:40 p.m. on August 9th and 6:30 a.m. on August 10th, no one was seen entering the area of Epstein's cell. The bottom line, the IG found the combination of all these failures led to Epstein being unmonitored and alone in his cell, giving him the opportunity he needed. The Inspector General says the failures deprived Epstein's numerous victims of the ability to seek the justice they deserved. He outlines several recommendations to fix these systematic problems with the Bureau of Prisons and suggests some of the personnel should be disciplined and maybe even fired so this doesn't happen again.